What is cybersecurity from a developer point of view? The databases of security. The databases of security. Databases. Structured collection of data stored for use by one or more applications. Contains the relationships between data items and group of data items. Can sometimes contain sensitive data that needs to be secure. Query language provides a uniform interface to the database for users and applicants and applications. Database Management System (DBMS) suite for programs for constructing and maintaining the database, offers ad hoc query facilities to multiple users and applications. Relational database model. Table of data consisting of rows and columns. Each column holds a particular type of data. Each row contains a specific value for each column. Ideally has one column where all the values are unique, forming an identifier key for that row. Enables the creation of multiple tables linked together by a unique identifier that is present in all tables. Use a relation query to access the database. Allows the users to request data that fit a given set of criteria. Relational database elements. Relation, table slash file, tuple, row slash record, attribute, column slash field, primary key, uniquely identifies a row, consists of one or more column names, foreign key, links one table to attributes in another, view slash virtual table, result of a query that results selected rows and columns from one or more tables. Views are often used for security purposes. Structured query language (SQL), standardized language to define schema, manipulate, and query data in a relational database. Several similar versions of ANSI/ISO standard all follow the same basic syntax and semantics. Functions of SQL statements. Create tables, insert and delete data in tables, create views, retrieve data with query statements. SQL injection attacks. SQL, one of the most prevalent, dangerous network-based security threats designed to exploit the nature of web applications, sends malicious SQL commands to the database server. Most common attack goal is bulk extraction of data. Depending on the environment, SQL injection can also be exploited to modify or delete the data, execute arbitrary operating system commands, launch denial of service attacks. SQLi defensive coding examples. Prepared statement equals con.prepare statement insert into student values. Statement.set string one user statement.execute. SQLi attack avenues. User inputs, server variables, second order injection, cookies, physical user input. User input. Attackers inject SQL commands by providing suitable crafted user input. Attackers inject SQL commands by providing suitable crafted user input. Server variables. Attackers can forge the values that are placed in HTTP and network headers and exploit the vulnerability by placing data directly into the headers. Second order injection. A malicious user could rely on data already present in the system or database to trigger an SQL injection attack. So when the attack occurs, the input that modifies the query to cause an attack does not come from the user but from within the system itself. Cookies. An attacker could alter cookies such that when the application server builds an SQL query based on the cookie's contents, the structure and function of the query is modified. Physical user input. Applying user input that constructs an attack outside the realm of web request. Applying user input that constructs an attack outside the realm of web request. In-band attack. Use the same communication channel for injecting a SQL code and retrieving results. The retrieved data are presented directly in the web application, in the web page. Tautology. This form of attack injects code in one or more conditional statements so that they always evaluate to true. End of line comment. After injecting code into a particular field, legitimate code that follows are nullified through the usage of end of line comments. After injecting code into a particular field, legitimate code that follows are nullified through usage of end of line comments. Piggyback queries. An attacker add additional queries beyond the intended queries, piggybacking the attack of the legitimate request. Inferential attack. There is no actual transfer of data, but the attacker is able to reconstruct the information by setting particular requests and observing the results of the behavior of the website/database server, include illegal/logically incorrect queries. This attack lets an attacker gather important information based on the server's error response about the type and structure of the backend database of a web application. The attack is considered a preliminary information gathering step for other attackers. Blind SQL injection allows attackers to infer the data present in a database system even when the system is sufficiently secure to not display any erroneous information back to the attacker. Out-of-band attack. Data are retrieved using different channel, not the same channel as SQLI. Not very common. This can be used when when there are limitations on information retrieval, but outbound connectivity from the database server is weak. Example, relies on database servers' ability to make outbound DNS or HTTP calls to the attacker's servers, delivering data, Oracle DB, UTL, HTTP package, Microsoft SQL Server, XP_dirty. SQL countermeasures: defensive coding, detection, runtime prevention. Defensive coding, manual defensive coding practices, parameterized query insertion, SQL DOM. Detection: signature-based, anomaly-based code analysis. Signature-based anomaly and code analysis. Signature-based anomaly-based code analysis. Runtime prevention: checks queries at runtime to see if they could conform to a model of expected queries. 2 commands for managing access rights. Grant. Used to grant one or more access rights, or can be used to assign a user to a role. Revoke. Revokes the access rights. Typical access rights are role-based access controls, eases administrative burden, and improves security. A database RBC needs to provide the following: create and delete roles, define permissions for a role, assign and cancel assignments of a user to a role. Categories of database users: application order, end user, administrator. Application order: an end user who owns database objects as part of an application. An end user who owns database objects as part of an application. End user: an end user who operates on database objects via a particular application but does not own any of the database objects. An end user who operates on database objects via a particular application but does not own any database objects. Administrator: user who has administrative responsibility for part of all of the database.